Hey everybody, it's Angela and I'm back with another process video, and I'm going to be using these two Heartfelt Creation stamp and die sets, and I'm just getting some archival ink and stamping it onto some watercolor paper. And these strawberries, I fell in love with them as soon as I saw this stamp and die set, and the die actually has some flower dies in it as well, and then there's a flower stamp set that matches those. Now my budget didn't quite extend for me to get both stamp sets and the die set, so you'll see how I got around that here in the future. Then I also have this strawberry stamp from Deep Red, and it's very similar, so I thought I'd go ahead and stamp and include some of those in there as well, because you can see that the way it's drawn is very similar to the other ones. And I'm just stamping 3 of each. That way I have some to play with because I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing. These are 2 of the Prima watercolor pencil sets that I have. And I just pulled from them because I thought it would have a little more control getting the color where I wanted to by using watercolor pencils instead of just a watercolor paint set, an actual palette set. So this at least made me feel like I had more control. And then I just have a little glass of water there next to me, and I'm just, after I put in a couple colors of green onto these leaves, then adding a little bit of water just to kind of blend the colors together and give it that watercolor look. So it's really, really simple. And I don't show the whole thing, but I show quite a bit of it here just to give you an idea if this is the first time you've ever used watercolor pencils or tried this technique, how it worked. And I'm not too concerned about staying in the lines on the outside edges because there is a die cut that matches this that's going to cut it out. On the Deep Red stamp there on the left, I'll have to be more careful to stay in the lines because I'll just fussy cut that one out since it doesn't have a coordinating die that goes with it. So as you can see, I'm putting a medium tone around the outside edge of the leaf. Then I'm putting a lighter tone where the leaf kind of bows up. And then I'm putting my darkest in the center where the veins of the leaf are. And then just using the water to blend them all together. So, it's can't get any easier than that. So then I take 2 colors of red and I put again the medium color kind of on the body of it, and then a darker color up where the cap of the strawberry is, and that gives it, I was hoping, a little bit of a cast shadow underneath the cap. And then I'm leaving just a tiny bit right where the strawberry would bow up and be the closest to me. I'm leaving just a little hint of white there just as a highlight to give that the look of a little bit of dimension. So again, I'm just putting my medium tone, then a nice dark tone around the edges and under the cap, leaving that little highlight, and that's it. And then in those 2 sets, there's only this one yellow, so I went ahead and used it. It was perfect for this, and I just put a little bit in the center of each of the flowers that are included with this. You can see on the other strawberry there to the left, it doesn't have any flowers. In that one, it's just strawberries and vines. So here they are all painted. And then what you do on these 2, since they have the corresponding dies, is you just kind of cut them out individually so that you can run them through your die cut machine. And so there, I'm just looking at it, and this first run through I put this little bit of washi tape to hold it, but once I put this on my magnetic platform here, the magnet actually holds it enough that you don't need washi tape. So on the future cuts, I didn't even use the washi tape. The magnet held it in place. I ran it through back and forth a couple times, and you can see it die cuts really well. These Heartfelt Creation dies and stamps are a little pricier, but boy, you can tell the quality difference on them. So there, I'm just poking these out, and I got these from hot off the press or Paper Wishes. they have some Heartfelt Creation dies and stuff in their store. So that's where I ordered it from. So there I'm just poking those out, and then I'll run them all through. And you can see that that die set comes with these flower dies, but my budget didn't extend to actually buy the coordinating stamps that went with the flowers, because I figured, I can just kind of sketch on the flowers close enough. I couldn't sketch on all the strawberries, or it would take too long if I did, but this is really simple to do. So if you're like me and your budget doesn't extend to getting the corresponding stamps for these flowers, just remember it's really easy. If you want to add the black ink on there, you can just do this real quick, just a little bit of sketchiness on there, and it works really well. So I'm going to use this Hello Sunshine paper that I got from Tuesday Morning, and it's a pink paisley paper, and I really love the yellows matched really well with the flower blossoms and the little pajamas that my granddaughter's wearing, and she's actually in her little footy pajamas out in the garden with a watering can, watering the strawberries and the peppers and other plants that are in their garden. And she loves to water things, and she's very focused when she's doing her watering. So it was just so cute, her out in the dirt in her little footies and watering can. So I just wanted to matte these on a couple different colors, a yellow to go right against the photo, since the photos are kind of dark because there's a dark wood fence in the background and then all that dirt. So I put the yellow right next to the photo, and then I put just a little bit of gray border to separate it from that starburst background. And the gray also picks up the gray in the watering can. And then I wasn't sure on the title what I wanted to use. So while my heat gun and stuff is warming up, I just went through my thickers, pulling out some different greens and reds and golds, just trying to see which one I wanted to use. And so I'm kind of thinking of those, but I wasn't very decisive at the moment, so I just set them aside. And then I thought, okay, I need to start positioning my strawberries. And I kind of want them to kind of cascade down, so there'll be some above the photo and some below, with the photo kind of nestled in amongst the strawberries. And I'm trying to kind of make it so on that right hand photo you can see the little strawberry plant with the little red strawberry on it at her feet that she's watering. So I was trying to make it so that the strawberry would show. And I want some of them under the photos, some of them above the photos. And then I'm also going to overlap them. So this one I want it to be flat. And then there's another one on the upper cluster that I want to be flat as well. So I'm just gluing them straight down. That's one of the deep red stamps that I then fussy cut out. And there's another one that I want to just have peeking out. And then these two that I'm taking away, I'm going to be doing a little bit of embossing on. So I just grabbed my mouse pad and a pen. I think that's like an American Crafts gel pen, just something that has a nice kind of large rounded end. And I turn it over, and I am kind of embossing against that mouse pad to make the strawberries and the leaves kind of poof up. And then I'm using the end of a paintbrush, which is smaller, to push down in the center of the flowers to give them dimension as well. And then I'm just putting a little bit of dimensional foam behind those leaves and strawberries that I popped up to hold them up so they don't go flat again. And I'm going to do it with this other piece, and it's kind of hard to see on video, but in real life you can really see the dimensions. Some of the leaves just kind of pop up off the page. The strawberries look more rounded, but the flowers also kind of, the petals kind of pop up a little bit. You can kind of see a little bit there when I held it up. And again, I'm just going to put a little bit of dimensional foam behind those to hold them up so that they don't get smashed down. And then with these flowers, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to emboss them in the center with the back of my paintbrush to just make the petals all just kind of pop up, and so it just kind of cups the flower a little bit and just adds dimension. So I really like what that adds to the layout. It gives it a sense of realism. So there I've got all my flowers and everything embossed. And then what I'm going to do to attach these is to take the backing off of my foam tape, and then I will just add some dots to the back of the flowers and places I want to actually touch the page. And then I left the little tendrils, the little curly Q tendrils, just free without any glue. So they really have a sense of just kind of curling up off the page. I do the same thing with that bottom one. And so at first I was going to put those flowers on with just regular wet glue, and then I decided against it and was going to continue to wait for my glue gun to heat up. So again, I go kind of back to my title while that glue gun finishes heating and figure out which thickers I actually want to use and what I want to say and where I want to put it. So I want a somewhat small title. At first I was going to say Little Gardener, or Little L-I-L, Little Gardener, but that would just have been too large with these size of thickers. So I go with these glitter red thickers that are a little bit smaller, and I'm just going to say So Sweet, because she's with those sweet strawberries and she's a sweet little girl, and it was just a sweet photo. So I'm just going to pull those off, and I'm putting them onto some wax paper so that I'll be able to kind of move it around and figure out where I want to place these. So I'm just going to cut that out because I think I want to put the So above the Sweet in order to keep this from being too long of a title. And I really like that sweet there with the T kind of going underneath that tendril. It just again lends more of a 3D dimensional look to it. And then I put the So above. I'm liking that. It really kind of helps ground the photos, having that below. And then I have these homemade phrase stickers, and so I'm just cutting a bunch of those out. I had done a bunch of words about gardening and farming and planting and some cute grandbaby words and stuff like that. And I do have another process video on how I made these. So I'm just cutting them out, and I thought I'd go ahead and first I was thinking I would scatter them around throughout the strawberries, but they were a lot of white around them, so you'll see I wind up just putting them to the right hand side of the photo instead. But now that my glue gun is finally heated up, I thought I'd go ahead and get these flowers down. And I'm just leaving a couple of them unattached from the bunches, almost like putting enamel dots or splatters or something. I just wanted a couple kind of floating free. I needed one more there just to be free up there. So at first I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to scatter these around throughout my clusters. But it really just kind of took away from my 3D clusters. So I decided to just go ahead and put the descriptive words along the right there to kind of balance out my title being on the left. And I really like how that brings another touch of white into the layout because those flowers are pretty white. Kind of breaks up some of that darker yellow on the background paper. So I'm really loving how this has turned out. That strawberry dye, when I saw it, I just kind of fell in love with it. So I was really glad to, be able to use it. And I've got some other ideas on playing with it that I want to try out. So I went to my stash. I think I'm looking now. I wanted to put something in the center of the flowers. So I go in and I'm like, oh man, I haven't used the stickles in a long time. And then I have some liquid pearls too. And I really wanted to use the liquid pearls to make like little stamens in the center. But the color of yellow I had was too yellow ochre. It just didn't look right. So instead of the liquid pearls, I do go with the stickles. I have this one that's kind of an iridescent glitter. Oh, and it was clogged, so I had to get a needle there to unclog it. But it's kind of iridescent and has a little bit of the yellow tinge to it. So I'm just going to go ahead and squeeze a little bit of that in the center just to give it a little, touch of bling in there. And it kind of picks up on those glittery thickers. And then the photos are pretty self-explanatory, but I wanted to make sure that her name and the date were on there. So I just added that. And then I am calling this layout finished. It took a little longer just because, I had to color and die cut these strawberries, but oh man, was it worth it. Look at that. You can see all the dimension that gives. A little bit of bling on the thickers and in the center of those flowers, and it just kind of cascades down with the photos kind of just nestled in all those strawberries. So that is my finished layout. If you guys have any questions or anything on this, just please let me know in the comments down below, and I will talk to you later. Bye.